Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Alhamdulillah. Got a nice breakdown for you this afternoon. Inshallah ta'ala. Drop the good brother a heart, a like, a thumb, something. Give us some good reaction for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that we can manipulate the algorithm, the computer algorithm, to our advantage, inshallah ta'ala, for the advantage of the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah and for support of the Black Muslim media. This is our voice, this is our story, and we are in control of our story and our voice. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Black folks have students of knowledge and scholars as well. So like, share, and support for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Drop me a salam alaikum, anything. Drop me a hey brother, you're looking good, you've been working out, something. But alhamdulillah, I don't tend to be long, so we're gonna jump straight in. So we need to have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to this whole madhabi, salafi, wahabi thing. We need to have a lot of taqwa and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to warn the Salafi Wahhabi people. I want to warn you, especially in this whole lesson. I want to warn you. And this is not a direct attack. This is not being disrespectful. This is not based off of my opinion. This is the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and it's nothing to be played with. We are tampering with our salvation. At best, the scholars of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah have determined that the Salafi Wahhabi people, at best, they would be counted amongst the one of the 73 sects, and wallahu alam, the people in the 73 sects will experience some time in the hellfire and will be brought out and then brought to Jannah. Wallahu alam, wallahu alam, wallahu alam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave us in the dark in regards to the details of the people of the 73 sects. Let me say this: beware. The Salafi Wahhabi teachers have thousands of videos accusing the actual Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah of being from the 73 sects, the people who, the vast over 95% of the Muslim community, no, it's like 90% of the entire Sunni Muslim community, who subscribe to one of the four madhabs and one of the three schools of Aqidah. They have declared us to be from the 73 sects, which is actually the reverse. They playing a little reverse psychology. The scholars from every region in every time period since Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab came had declared them to be him and the followers to be from, at best, from one of the 73 sects for various different reasons. At worst, you have those really hardcore card-carrying Salafi Wahhabi people who are just diehard. You will not convince them. They are not in this to learn. That's they set. That's their gang, and they're gonna ride with it, and they're gonna die with it. Our scholars, the scholars from around the world, from Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, have told us They have told us that that these kinds of people are they take the characteristics of the Khawarij, and there are you can Google what are the signs of the Khawarij, and you can see obviously and clearly who fits that criteria. And I plan on doing a video, inshallah ta'ala, about that, likening the Salafi minhaj to the lots of the characteristics, not all of them as far as I can see, but a majority of the characteristics that the scholars have listed that are from the Khawarij. At worst, this is the position. This is the position of the Salafi and Wahhabi people, because of the ardent crookedness of the Aqidah. Rasulullah SAW said in one of the ahadith about the Khawarij that they left Islam. So people who left Islam, you're not Muslim. Like, you used to be Muslim, but you left Islam. So it's, this is the fear. This is the fear. So I'm making these videos not to be funny. I'm making these videos not to get a lot of views, because I never get a lot of views. Like the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah videos, they don't compare to the videos of the Ahlul Bid'ah. The Ahlul Bid'ah, their following is really, really, really big. But there are a lot of people who are in the ranks of the Ahlul Bid'ah who sincerely just don't know. And so I make these videos for the individuals who don't know. And at least in my community, in the African American community, and I think in some other communities as well, I can see that the problem is 99% ignorance. They just do not know the deen. They have never been introduced to the deen, and the only introduction that they have, the only interaction with the actual deen and with the actual Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that they've ever had was through erroneous refutations by the Salafi and Wahhabi scholars or teachers. We can't call them scholars. They're smart people now. You got some very serious and very intelligent individuals, but just like Noam Chomsky, he's a genius, but he's an atheist. So the smart, having intelligence does not make you a believer. Now they got some strong people. Don't get me wrong. They got a lot of the individuals that have more brain power than myself. Not put myself up there any kind of way, but I do what I do. I put in some work. But they got some guys that are very, very, very sophisticated intellectually, and they are the most blameworthy because they know better. You have the intellectual capacity to discern the differences. Like in the last video that I did last week, I brought some evidence that they fit the criteria of the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent astray, because they have chosen to make the nafs their God, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has covered their hearing, their sight, and their hearts. And when Allah ta'ala does that, it will be at his will and at his discretion that you come out of that. Nothing that I say or any other person who is a representative of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah will bring you out of this. So if you can hear at least one word that I'm saying, just make tawbah. Just make tawbah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just for whatever it is. My favorite dua for tawbah, I had a teacher for a short time in tasawwuf, and the main thing that I can remember that he taught me was a dua. The dua, astaghfirullah ya rabbi min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayk. At least just say that. At least just say that. So make tastaghfir for whatever you know that you're doing wrong, and for everything that you don't know that you're doing wrong, and make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything that you know that you're doing wrong, and everything that you do not know that you are doing wrong. If you have just an ounce of humility, at least do that. At least do that. Uh, I mean, I got a lot of videos out there, so you can go through a lot of my videos. If you disagree with anything I'm saying, you can determine that I'm not crazy. And I ain't the only person that think like this. I'm just the only person that has nothing to lose to say it to you. So I'm gathering evidences from the individuals that have a lot to lose, who have political connections that they must sustain. And I don't have any political connections, so I can say it. And by the time, inshallah ta'ala, I have some political connections, I've already said it. And then I don't have to say it no more. So, uh, okay, so that's that. If you have an ounce of humility inside of your heart, and you don't hear anything that I say, I hope that you can hear that I'm saying make tawbah and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you to the aqidah of that is approved for him. Inshallah ta'ala. By approved by him, excuse me. Inshallah ta'ala. Make that dua and make that dua sincere that you want to be on the deen of Rasulullah, so it's on the aqidah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you want to be on the aqidah of the salaf, of the sahaba and the salaf. Make a strong dua that you want to be on this. If nothing else, you don't hear, because I'm getting ready to tear deep into one of y'all scholars. So if you don't hear nothing else, hear that. So without further ado, we're gonna get into the evidence that the Salafi minhaj is bid'ah. So mostly what I find, what we find, things are cultural now. Um, like for example, Philadelphia is the Salafi capital in America for Black people. And so all of the African Americans in the whole entire country, when we look up videos or when we getting people as friends as who are Muslim, most of the time they coming out of Philly, Jersey, and New York area, which is the stronghold of the Salafi minhaj right now. So they're influencing the whole entire African American community, and we hold so much influence by ourselves. Alhamdulillah. I mean, it's through the African Americans that Islam has made it to the heights that it has in America right now. So all of our connections to the Islamic lands and the scholars in those Islamic lands, us learning and being able to translate the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into American context mostly has been done by African Americans. And then, we have our white brothers and sisters who came right behind it, like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, what's the brother name? Subhanallah, left my head. The older brother, the older Maliki brother. I can't remember his name. Farouk. What's his name? Farouk. The big scholar. But anyway, so most of the time, so we're dealing with culture here. So when we find we're not dealing with something where it's intellectual, where we can say, hey, check out this, check out that, read this book, check this book out. They're looking at it. They're looking at it, and they're like, they're ignoring it for whatever reason. And just to be merciful, I'm gonna say it's culture. It's cultural up there and over there. And what y'all don't understand is that y'all's influence comes all the way over here where I'm at in Cincinnati. When I was teaching Ta'aleem in the masjid, up under one of my shuyukh, all the time I had to deal with questions of Tawheed. Brother, why are you teaching us fiqh? We don't need to learn fiqh, brother. We need to learn Tawheed. We need to learn Tawheed Rububiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah. That's bid'ah. All that is bid'ah. All of that is bid'ah. You don't find none of the Sahaba and none of the Salaf saying none of that. So they always saying that the people of bid'ah and every bid'ah is dalala and all dalala will lead you to the hellfire. This is their mantra, and they are the most guilty of it. So it's cultural, And I want y'all to wake up and be strong and be good Muslims and know that your cultural ties ain't really gonna save you in this regard. If you had cultural ties and it was to a society that was Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, for example, the Mauritanis, that's the cultural school that I belong to. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As we all know, Islam is preserved in Mauritania. It's preserved. They still learn like how they did 700 years ago. It hasn't changed. About 1,000 years ago, they still learn the way that they used to learn, the actual traditional way that they used to learn, with the law and everything. Writing the Quranic ayahs on the board, and the kids memorize the Quranic ayahs. One of my books, well, here's the commentary of one of my fifth books. This is a commentary to a children's book. In Mauritania, the fifth book that this right here, the commentary to this, is considered like a middle school grade book over there. So if you had cultural ties in that sense, then you'd be straight, because that entire culture, well, I'm pretty sure they have some things, but the vast majority of that culture is Quran and Sunnah according to the actual way of the Salaf, not the Saudis definition of it, but the actual, they have an unbroken chain. All of their ulama have an unbroken chain all the way back to Imam Malik rahimahumullah, and everybody know who Imam Malik is, and if you do not know, he was alim of Medina. So that's the first thing. I want y'all to recognize that this is a cultural thing. This is not an intellectual one. The Salafi minhaj is very, very, very unsophisticated, extremely, not even preschool. So it's not something serious, even though they look beautiful. They are some of the most beautiful people you will ever see, Muslims. The sisters are, alhamdulillah, they cover. Alhamdulillah, the brothers, they wear the izar. They were actually the first brothers, I believe, that got, well, at least nowadays, that, that kind of made it cool to wear a beard. When I was growing up, like, people would make fun of you for wearing a beard, especially when wearing this big. But the Philly brothers, they made the jalabiyah, the izar, and the kufi and the beard. They put it on the game. They put it on the map. So y'all have a lot of responsibility as far as influence, especially, I'm speaking mostly in the African American community. Y'all are just people seeing that, and I mention this all the time. Just people seeing y'all going live during Eid, and when y'all going live, you seeing all the sisters. You see nothing but black niqabs all the way filling up the streets in the hood, in one of the most dangerous cities in the whole entire world. And you see brothers who belong to the streets or used to belong to the streets with a big beard, with a kufi, with the jalabiyas on, white jalabiyas, white kufis as far as you can see. Alhamdulillah, y'all hold a lot of responsibility. So let's break the cultural ties and let's get really down to the nitty gritty. Let's really figure this thing out. Now we got a riff. We know we got a riff. Us people who follow the madahib, we over here like, hey, y'all wrong, y'all on bid'ah. And then y'all over there with the Salafi minhaj, y'all like, hey, y'all wrong, y'all on bid'ah. So who's really right and who's really wrong? So let me say this. The Salafi, Suhaib Webb, no, that's not who I'm talking about. But he's another Abdullah. What's his name? Abdullah Farouk Abdullah Farouk. SubhanAllah, I can't think of the white brother's name. Alhamdulillah, but he's very serious. He ain't nothing to play with. Alhamdulillah. Let me say this. We have to understand that when you're talking about the madhabs and we're telling you to follow the madhabs, we're not calling you to men. We're not calling you to no man. We're not calling you to no men at all. We calling y'all to the men. Well, in a sense, we're calling you to men. We're calling y'all to the men who are the only people who have a living connection to the actual Salaf. And we are saying to y'all that Ibn Taymiyyah, he broke his connection with the Salaf. Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he opposed the Salaf. Muhammad Ibn Abdul Wahhab went against the Salaf. And then after that, he established a school was established on his ideology. Bin Baz, Uthaymin, Fawzan, Madkhal, all those guys, all these big personalities that they do not have a living connection or sanad back to the Salaf. And the Salaf are our connection to the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. So that we have evidence of this. They don't have evidence. So they take the statements and the works from our scholars, and then they remix the explanation of it. So they take the actual statements, and then they take and then they make books and they feed them to their followers as if this is Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Beware of this, beware of this, beware of this. This is, I believe, the biggest fitna that we have today. This is the biggest fitna that we have today. We have something that is being called Iman and Islam, and it is not. This is complete and total bid'ah. It is not. And I'm gonna bring forth some proof and some evidence on what I'm saying. So they're taking the books, they're taking the works of all of the people of the actual Salaf, and where the problem is that they have remixed the interpretation of it to suit their erroneous beliefs. Okay? So let's get an example of this. Let's jump in it, inshallah ta'ala. I'm going to read an excerpt, a few excerpts out of Uthaymin's book, if I can find it. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so Uthaymin, excuse me, I forgot to. Sorry. Okay, so Uthaymin's book, and this is one of their greatest so-called proofs for what it is that they believe. This is out of his book called The Exemplary Principles Concerning the Beautiful Names and Attributes of Allah, written by Mr. I will not call him Sheikh, written by Mr. Uthaymin. All right, so we're going to so the fact of the matter is this. First, before I have to give y'all some background first before inshallah ta'ala I get into the example. So the problem at hand is the Salafi Wahhabi people have taken wa salam Imam Abu Muhammad. They have picked fights with the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And so many people, especially African Americans, the first thing that they run into when they're non-Muslim, the very first thing that they come in contact with is the Salafi minhaj. And so inside of the Salafi minhaj, they have packaged arguments against the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. One being that we worship graves, and we have proof for us going and making supplication to and through, more through, I ain't gonna say two, but when we say to Nabi and through Nabi alayhi salatu salam, that's not this video. I made videos on it. There's plenty of material out there on it. So the issues are istighatha and tawassul. They've picked those as issues to put inside of their little books and their little pamphlets and to feed to people. They put stuff like following one particular madhab that is haram and that you should not follow one particular madhab. Even though this is wrong, this is a 100% wrong. And people, and I have people who don't know anything about the madhab arguing with me on Facebook about not having to follow one particular madhab. They know nothing about the madhabs, know nothing about it, and will regurgitate to you just because of the power of the influence of the Salafi minhaj that they put this inside of their books. They might have grabbed it. It might even be Salafi, or they might not be Salafi. They don't. A lot of times people just don't know. They just regurgitating something that they read. Another example, the biggest example, which is the biggest problem that the fights are so called that they pitted against us, especially in their little pamphlets, is the whole position of where is Allah. That whole thing, this whole where is Allah? This was the argument that Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, who was the horn of Shaitan, this is the argument that he used to falsely clarify that 95% of the Muslim community were non-Muslim. That the people said Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah were non-Muslim, that they were pagans, that they were non-Muslims. And in their books and in their made up and their bid'ati aqidah, they have created a belief that says if you deny that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually in this specific place, then you have denied the attributes of Allah. So one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore you are not a Muslim and your blood is lawful. And of course, they're calling us the mubtadi'een, the people who have innovated something into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion. And the fatwa for the mubtadi'een is that they must be killed. This is all the stuff that Muhammad Abdul Wahhab said. Fighting and making the blood lawful of your fellow Muslim brother and sister. So that's the background. They've picked these little fights with us, and then they've corralled the minds of their followers, just like a cult. Beware of the cult, the cultish things. Everybody, don't be asleep, stay awake. They built all these pamphlets, and as opposed to teaching you fiqh, teaching you the fiqh of your worship, teaching you the proper aqidah, what the actual salaf said and did in these respects, the people have spent too much time in all these refutations. These guys know these refutation books better than they know their father ayn. You can ask these guys what is the position on them touching women and wudu, and they won't be able to tell you. You can ask these guys what is the maximum period that a woman can have her menses, and they won't be able to tell you. But let you bring up that Allah Ta'ala is not exist without a place. Oh, here you come. They're gonna rain down on you from every. I got people coming at me who I'm not even friends with. I don't even know how they finding my material because I am the least popular guy from Upper Sunnah on the internet right now. So I don't even know how they finding me. Probably a little gin whispering to them like, "Hey man, go pull up this dude named Abdul Kabir." I don't know how they finding me. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Hey, what up, Kansas? Let me leave them alone. I was about to tease them again. But alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's get to the evidence. Let's see what Mr. Uthaymin said. And this is one of the big hats. So when I say Uthaymin, I'm saying Fawzan, I'm saying Mr. Madkhal, I'm saying Bin Baz, I'm saying Al-Albani, I'm saying Ibn Abdul Wahhab, the whole bunch, all of these scholars, all of these superstars, they all believe this. So this is Mr. Uthaymin. Let me find the right page. This is on page 96 in his book, and it is section 3.2. And it is titled The Second Principle Concerning the Evidences, Keeping to the Apparent Meanings of the Texts. It is obligatory to understand the text of the Quran and the Sunnah according to their apparent meanings, without perverting their meanings, especially with regards to the texts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, as there is absolutely no place for independent free thinking with regards to them. And then he went on to give some Quranic ayats, which I am not going to read because it is bid'ah. These ayats do not stand for support of that statement, so I'm not going to read them. That's the first one. Second one, let me find it. This is on, I think, this is on page 100. Where'd my water go? I lost my water. The third principle concerning the evidence, section 3.3, page 100. The meanings of the attributes are known to us, while their specific details are not. The apparent meanings found in the texts that establish Allah's attributes, subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, are known to us from one angle and yet unknown to us from another. Their general meanings are known to us, while their specific details are not. This is proven by both textual and intellectual evidences, end quote. And then he gave some other ayats. He lied and gave some other ayats, saying that those ayats were in support for what he believes. Okay. And the last statement of his is on page 102. Same section, page 102. As for tafweed, then it is known that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us to reflect over the Quran, and he encourages us to understand it and use our intellects. How then could it be possible that we are expected to turn away from its understanding, to turn away from knowing anything about it? This belief, tafweed, necessitates that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself with in the Quran, or much of that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself with, are descriptions without any meanings, and their meanings were not known to the prophets who just relayed the words that they did not understand. Okay, so these are three of his quotes. I did not say his so-called Quranic evidences because it's bid'ah. So I'm not going to say his so-called Quranic evidences, but if you need to look and you need to see, I said the references in the page. So what he just said, all those three quotes that I just said, bid'ah. And it is not from Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, let alone is it from the salafi salihin, period. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. It is not. And I got some statements to prove it. So are we going to believe? Now, mind you, this is the belief system of the Salafi minhaj. That's what they believe, okay? Like I said, I'm not picking on nobody. I'm just trying to give y'all a lesson. That's what they believe. Now, let's turn to all of the actual scholars. Mind you, Uthaymin was not a scholar. Al-Albani was not a scholar. Ibn Abdul Wahhab was not a scholar. Bin Baz was not a scholar. These were smart individuals. They were smart. They were some very crafty dudes, but they were not scholars to the criteria of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Okay, so the people who everybody agree on, let's see what they say. The first person I want to read is somebody who they champion a lot. The Salafi minhaj, Saudi Arabia, they love Hafiz Ibn Kathir, rahimahumullah. They love Hafiz Ibn Kathir. They actually remixed his famous tafsir. Everybody knows tafsir Ibn Kathir. They even played around with it, but they left out one part. uh, so let's look at what Ibn Kathir had to say about these ayahs, these mutashabihat ayahs. And this is his tafsir to Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 54. Then he did istiwa, he's quoting. Then he did istiwa, as it benefits his majesty upon the throne. People have too many positions on this matter, and this is not the place to present them at length. On this point, we will follow the position of the righteous early Muslims, of the Salafi Salihin. So this is Ibn Kathir saying, now, Ibn Kathir is bigger than every Salafi minhaj scholar that ever came and that ever will exist. So mind you, this is Ibn Kathir, Hafidh Ibn Kathir, saying, I'm telling you what the Salafi Salihin is saying. And he named some of them. Imam Malik, Imam al-Awza'i, Imam Sufyan al-Thari, Imam Layth ibn Sa'ad, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Imam Ishaq ibn Rahaway, as well as others among the imams of the Muslims, past and present. Mind you, all those people he just named were mujtahideen, higher scholars to the highest rank and degree. These were the people who had their own madhabs. So he just dropped some heavy names in reference for what he's getting ready to say. Mind you, the Uthaymin, Fawzan, Bin Baz, Al-Albani, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, these dudes are cockroaches compared to those names that we just mentioned. Back to what he said. He also said, as well as others among the imams of the Muslims, both past and present. So he was talking in his time and day. I believe he was 8th century, 7th or 8th century. Somebody correct me on that. To let it pass as it has come without saying how it is meant. This does not contradict what Mr. Uthaymin just said. We're talking about Hafidh Ibn Kathir. He just told the people to do tafweed. Uthaymin just told the people not to do tafweed. And Bin Baz was even quoted saying that tafweed is the ugliest bid'ah in regards to the sifatullah. It is the worst bid'ah in regards to the sifatullah. But here it is, a person who is a giant in the religion of Islam, in the deen of Islam, and Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is telling the people to do tafweed, to let it pass as it has come without saying how it is meant. Don't at all even go into it. None whatsoever. This is tafweed. Then he says, without any resemblance to created things. So he goes deeper into what he's trying to tell the people. And without nullifying it, doing ta'atid, which is to negate it at all whatsoever, which is a whole different problem, which we don't have right now, alhamdulillah. Now he goes even further to address individuals who think like the Salafi minhaj people, because you just heard what this guy said, what we just quoted from Uthaymin. Ibn Kathir says, the outward literal meaning that comes to the minds of the mujassim, mushabbiha, the anthropomorphists, the people who liken Allah Ta'ala to his creation, is negated of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For nothing created has any resemblance to him. There's nothing. Then he then he quoted the ayah that we all know. There's nothing whatsoever likened to him, and he is all hearing, all seeing. So that's one quote from Hafidh Ibn Kathir. Hafidh Ibn Kathir completely blowing Mr. Uthaymin out of the water. So no person who claims that they are a Salafi who follows the Salafi minhaj, know if you see this video and you seen this quote, you can no longer. This is Ibn Kathir. You are not permitted anymore. It is haram for you to further believe that tafweed is not the way that we interpret the mutashabihat. You are no longer permitted. This is haram for you now. If you do it going forward, you know better now. You know better now. At the beginning of the video, I said, y'all really don't know. Because when you first took your kalima shahada, nobody taught you this kind of stuff. The first thing that somebody gave you was Kitabul Tawheed. First thing that they gave you was the Prophet's Prayer, according to Al-Albani. You never learned what the actual scholars of Ahlul Sunnah said. Nobody ever told y'all that Uthaymin and Fawzan were not actual scholars from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Nobody ever told you. So inshallah ta'ala, you all are excused up until this point in this video. Now you know that you must do tafweed or ta'wil. So we're going to deal with ta'wil next. We're going to deal with that next. Now, I didn't go into his quote because I don't want to make this too long. I didn't go into his quote on ta'wil, but it's in that section, 3.1 all the way to like 3, that whole section. Read section 3.1 of that book, and you'll find the whole elaborated discussion on how this Salafi, Wahhabi Imam is going against tafweed and ta'wil. So, but his statement saying sticking to the apparent meaning and the literal meaning and all of that, which I read, that is all included in this whole in both. That is pointed towards tafweed and ta'wil, because you have to use one of the two tools. He's saying you don't use those two tools to interpret the mutashabihat, and that you use the apparent meaning, tathbit, I think they call it. You use the apparent meaning, which is literal. And he actually went into stating that the things of the mutashabihat are literal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's go forward. I found some other statements from other scholars that go against big people, big names, that go against what Mr. Uthaymin said. Here's another quote. In Imam Bayhaqi's book, Al-Mu'taqad, he related a chain back to Al-Awza'i and Imam Malik and Sufyan al-Thawri and Layth ibn Sa'd, that when they were asked about the ayat and the ahadith that are mutashabihat, they said, this means accept them as they came without applying a how to them. So here is another evidence against the Salafi minhaj. Imam Bayhaqi, and he used a chain with 3 different paths to 3 different mujtahid imams, saying the same thing that Hafiz ibn Kathir said, to make tafweed of the mutashabihat ayats and a hadith. That's another evidence from somebody he's from the Khalaf, so he's a student of the Salaf. Next, there's another example. Imam Bukhari, he gave some tafsir about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ad-dahik, which literal sense means laughing. Imam Bukhari, he interpreted this. He said that this means mercy. So here is Imam Bukhari. All these Salafis have Imam Bukhari's, rahimahumullah's, name in their mouth. And on one hand, they got Uthaymin telling them not to do tafweed and ta'wil. And then on the other hand, you have the great mujtahid Imam Bukhari, doing ta'wil, doing the very thing that the Salafi minhaj people hate the Ash'ariyah for. They hate the Ash'ariyah because we are notorious for making ta'wil of the mutashabihat. But here's your beloved Bukhari doing ta'wil. More evidence. Imam Abu Mansur al-Baghdadi, related in his book, Al-Faruqu Bain al-Firaq, that Imam Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Imam Ali, one of the four righteous Khalifas, said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed eternally and there was no place, and he is now how he was then. So we know that the Salafi Wahhabis believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually above the heavens. But here's Ali, one of the four Khalifas, one of the four righteously guided Khulafa, contradicting the Salafi Wahhabi belief. So who are you going to believe? Ali? Or are you going to believe Uthaymeen and Fawzan and Bin Baz and Ibn Abdul Wahab? Who are you going to believe? Which one of these people are you going to believe? Which one of those people are you going to believe over Imam Ali? They all are on record. Bin Baz, Al-Albani, Fawzan, Uthaymeen, they all are on record saying Allah Ta'ala is above the heavens. How could Allah Ta'ala be above the heavens when Imam Ali said that Allah Ta'ala existed before the heavens and the heavens and the earth was created? And we know that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says that he was the creator of the heavens and the earth in the Quran. So this is illogical. Where was Allah at before he was in and on what he said he created? It makes no sense. How could Allah Ta'ala be in something or on something before it even existed? That would mean that Allah Ta'ala had to have been created. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. Please be careful, brothers and sisters. Please be careful. This is the magnitude of the situation. This is not just a difference of fiqh and just as differences, and we have scholarly differences like some people like to brush it off. This is not that. This is a matter of disbelief and belief. This is that. It's that serious. I got some more quotes. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahumullah, who is one of the authorities of the Salafi Salihin. He was one of the first mujtahid imams in the actual time period of the Salaf. Everybody say, I'm following the Quran, and these people, they're saying, I'm following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. Well, Imam Abu Hanifa, he was the big dog of the Salaf. He was the big dog. A lot of the three other, like Shafi'i used to bang with him, not as much, but of the four illustrious imams of the madhabs, Abu Hanifa used to have time for the people of bid'ah. He used to sit down and destroy the people of bid'ah in debate. He made time for them folks. So this is the imam of the Salafi Salihin, right? What did he say? In his book, Fiqh al-Absat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed eternally, and there was no place. He existed before creating the creation. He existed and there was no place, creation or thing, and he is the creator of everything. This is the Imam of the Salafi Salihin. You say that you follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. Well, I'm going to hold you to that. Get rid of believing Allah Ta'ala is above the heavens. Get rid of believing Allah Ta'ala is in the heavens. Get rid of this literal mentality that they've tricked you into thinking. If you truly follow it, get rid of it. Just providing you evidence from every shape, form, or fashion. We got some more. We're going to keep going. There was a list of imams on here. Oh, here it is. Okay, here is a list of imams who, this is a list of imams from the Salaf and the Khalaf who either did tafweed or ta'wil, and none of them did this whole tathbeet thing, this whole taking things at their apparent meaning. First and foremost, who for ta'wil and tafweed, we have Ibn Abbas, the great and big Sahabi. Then we have Sufyan al-Thawri. I shouldn't have to tell y'all who that is. We have Mujahid, Sa'd ibn Jubair, Malik, Ahmad, Imam Ahmad, al-Bukhari. We mentioned it already. Imam Nawawi, Imam Rajab, Rajab al-Hanbali, Ibn al-Jawzi, Ibn al-Hajjaj, al-Bayhaqi, Abu Fadl al-Tamimi, Abdul Qahir al-Baghdadi. I don't know this last guy's last name, so I'm not going to say it. Maybe I should for the record, but I don't know who it is. All those names, these are all scholars, all the way from the Sahaba. I just gave you names of all of the people from the Sahaba all the way down to the Khalaf. Big imams, not small ones, big imams. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, I forgot to put him in there as well. Tajuddin al-Subki, Taqiyuddin al-Subki, his father. These were people who were in the time of Ibn Taymiyyah and refuted Ibn Taymiyyah along with other scholars. So how can you be following the Quran? Now, mind you, all of these people were from the time of Ibn Abbas, or were from the time of the Sahaba, all the way. Tabari is another one of these people who belong to the time of the Salaf. All the way to the Khalaf, that whole golden age of Islamic knowledge. Where was Ibn Taymiyyah in any of this? Where was Bin Baz in any of this? Where was Uthaymin in any of this? Where was Fawzan? Where Uthaymin? Where were any of these guys? Where do they fit into that? How do they represent the Salafi Salihin? And they did not come from that time period. They were not even the students of that time period. They were not even the students of that time period. How can they come thousands of years later and completely erase thousands of years of Islamic scholarship and then rename it and say this is the new Islam? This is the New Testament of Islam. That right there, the following the madhab, following the three schools of Aqidah, that is the Old Testament. This right here, what Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab brought, that is the New Testament. That's what they did. That's exactly what they did. And I know that's a punch in the face. I'm sorry, make dua for me. I know that's a punch in the face, but let's just be real. That's what they did. You have people copy and pasting this book from Uthaymin and spreading this bid'ah all over the internet. And people are reading it, not knowing that it is bid'ah. It is hellfire on the eyes. This is absurd. This is absurd. Just prove to you that those viewpoints, all those scholars contradict this whole take the text at its apparent meaning. None of the Salafi Salihin did that. And let me say this, at this point in the video, there will be a Salafi Wahhabi in the comments copying and pasting all of these statements from the actual Salafi Salihin, right? That Wahhabi is coming. He's going to be in the comments, guaranteed. He's going to call me Jahil. He's going to call me a Muqtadi'. He's going to say, I don't know what Salafiyah is. I don't understand. I don't follow the true way of the four Imams. I don't follow the true Ash'ari Aqidah. Imam Ash'ari had the Ahlul Sunnah Aqidah, but the followers of the Ash'aris don't follow. He's going to say all of this stuff, right? Or he might not. But this is the stuff that they say. And he's going to be in the comment section copying and pasting all of these statements from the scholars, right? From the Salafi Salihin, from the Ashab, right? Wrong. When Imam Malik was asked about istiwa, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did istiwa, and he told everybody as well, no, Allah ta'ala did istiwa. He was making tafweed. He was doing what we just said, taking the words and passing them on without giving them no meaning. That is what they were doing. So do not let these mass manipulators and these cult leaders tell you, oh, look what Imam Bayhaqi said. Look what Imam Nawawi said. Look what Imam Shafi'i said. Look what Imam Ibn Abbas said. And then you find them repeating what is in the Quran. Of course, it's in the Quran. We confirm every single letter that is in the Quran. But this is one thing that they left out and that they leave out is that they were making tafweed. They were not taking these ayats at their literal and apparent meaning like they believe. This is the consequence of not following a madhab. And you get left with the books and you just pick up the books and you just reading these books and you don't have context. That's what these guys were. These guys were book scholars. We call them pamphlet scholars. They were pamphlet scholars. They didn't sit with individuals. Well, a few of them sat with individuals and then went astray for whatever reason. That's just pure arrogance. This deen was transmitted through an unbroken chain, through unbroken chains. This deen was nobody's great and grand idea, nobody's brilliance. This deen came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibril, to the Prophet Islam, to the Sahaba. That's it. It was given. It was transmitted. So what you say, even though you may have an ijazah, I done seen some Salafi Wahhabis with ijazahs. They're making up their own ijazahs now just to trick people. They putting false ijazahs up. I heard from one of my companions that they sit in the classes with the four imams. They get the ijazah and then they go teach the Wahhabi creed, as if that ijazah is a license for the Wahhabi belief system, for the Salafi Wahhabi belief system. And this is deception, and it is haram. If you want to know what the Salafi Salihin said, do not read Uthaymeen's books, Fawzan's books, Al-Albani's books, Bin Baz's books, and don't even read Ibn Taymiyyah. Go to the books that were produced by the Madhahib, because they have the chains that are linked back to the Sahaba. Read those books if you want to see what because our people, Malik, the four Imams, Malik, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmad, they were the Imams of the time of the Salaf. So you can erase Uthaymeen and Fawzan. You don't need him. You don't need him. Go straight to what they said and see if they talking about take it at its apparent and literal meaning. This is a commentary to some Maliki fiqh. And mind you, Imam Malik was the scholar of Medina, the holy city. And he learned from people who learned from people who learned from the Sahaba. I don't find that's a book that represents Malik's scholarship, huh? Why do I need Fawzan? Why do I need Uthaymeen? Why do I need Ibn Abdul Wahhab? I can go straight to the time of the Salaf. You don't find none of this apparent literal meaning. How did this apparent literal meaning stuff get past Imam Malik, who was one of the carriers, one of the torchbearers of Umar, our third blessed Khalifa? He was one of the Imam Malik is single-handedly responsible for spreading the viewpoint, the madhab of Umar ibn Khattab. He's a Sahabi. He's a direct link to the Sahaba, to a Sahabi. How could you? Why do you need it? Is this another religion, y'all? Is this a religion other than Islam? Because where do they get these ideas from? These ideas don't exist in the time of the Salaf. There's no evidence for it whatsoever. And if you don't believe me, go and read it for yourself. Oh, and that reminds me, for the trolls in the comments, can you post the Arabic, brother? You can't read Arabic. All those books where those quotes came from, they're in Arabic. Those are not these books are not the basic ABC 1, 2, 3, how to make wudu and how to make salah books. These are the heavy books, the high books, where these statements about these things were pulled out of, and they're all in Arabic. The statements have been translated by our scholars. So guess what? 95% of y'all don't know Arabic. So what you got to do? You have to make taqleed. You're dependent on those scholars, those actual scholars from Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You're dependent on them to translate that for you. You don't have a choice but to make taqleed, to do what Bin Baz and Uthaymin and all those bunch, what they told you not to do. If you really want to find the truth, you got to go to them scholars. Uthaymin and them don't have it. They didn't have it. If they did have it, they hid it from the people. Haram alaikum. You have to go to the people of the madhab. You have to go through the four madhab to find out what the Salafi Salihin said. You can't get past us. You can't get around us. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to save you a bunch of beating your head up against that wall. You will never find it. I'm a student of one of the Salafi Salihin. I've never seen this take the mutashabihat that their apparent meaning. Allah is actually sitting on the throne. All this garbage that the Salafi Wahabi books are saying, I've never seen it once. Don't that seem funny to y'all? That you got people who are not connected to the Salafi Salihin saying stuff that the people who are the Salafi Salihin never said. Go look at the works of Qadi Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, who was a student, a big student of the Mujtahid Imam, who was a leader of this time of the Salaf, Imam Abu Hanifa. One of Imam Abu Hanifa's chains go back to Imam Ali. Another one of his chains go back to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, two eminent Sahaba. These individuals have the actual connections. There's 2 and 3 people between these individuals, between the Sahaba. Imam Abu Hanifa met the last living Sahabi. He met the last living Sahabi, and he contradicted what the Salafi Salih, what the Salafi Minhaj people, the group, what they're saying today. That don't seem weird? That don't seem weird to y'all? Like, here's a guy who met a Sahabi and who was a Tabi'i and who learned for the Tabi'in. He sat around Sufyan al-Thawri, Hassan al-Basri. Them people was from his town. He sat in their durus. Imam Malik, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Rabi'ah. They sat with these people. They knew these people. These people were the Tabi'in, the 3 blessed generations. None of them is talking this whole take it at its literal apparent meaning. None of them are saying that. That's not weird. You got some individuals right here coming out of Saudi Arabia saying telling you they're contradicting themselves. They're telling you if this is not like church, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, my brothers and sisters. Y'all left the church and went to Wahhabism. Same thing. You're in between coming truly into Islam. The preacher will go and tell you, oh, Jesus is God. But then you find in the Bible that Jesus was born. How could Jesus be God if Jesus was born? Then it's well, we don't believe that. We ain't those kind of Christians. We're the kind of Christians that believe that God is God and Jesus is God's son. Well, it says in Psalms 2:7 that God's son was David. In Psalms 2:7, it says straight up that he was talking to David. The Psalms is attributed to David. God was talking to David, allegedly, was talking to David, and he told David, today you are my son, today I've begotten you. We're believing lies. We're doing the same thing we was doing when we were Christians. Believing lies. Uthaymin and Ibn Abdul Wahhab and all these characters, they're telling you that we are the true Salafi Salihin. We're following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. And then when you open up their belief system, they're actually contradicting what the Salafi Salihin said. So how are you following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf? This ain't weird to y'all? And please, don't take this as disrespect. This is just the big brother talking to you. This big brother talk right here. This ain't, forget the refutations. And then I want to see my people doing good. I want to see my people in their best conditions. And we are not in our best conditions as long as we remain in the Salafi Wahhabi religion. We are not. We cannot begin to give ourselves the social justice we deserve from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger until we truly come to Quran and Sunnah. Until we truly come to Quran and Sunnah. And there's no other way other than coming to the 4 schools of thought. And the 3 schools of Aqidah. That's it. That's it. So I'm going to wrap this up. There aren't any, who said this? Let me see. Look at the comments. You got to let the people talk. Von Turner said, man, that's so true. Those books, Kitab al-Tawheed, and those other books, alhamdulillah, I'm very pleased. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me from that evilness. Yeah, me too. I didn't know what's going on anyway. Those books reached me in prison, and I didn't know one thing from another, and I was caught up, confused. I never really believed it because it sounded weird, but I was confused at one point in time. But I kept pushing. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided me to what is right and exact. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up because it is Asr time where I live. Inshallah ta'ala, like this, send me some likes, send me some hearts. Let's get the algorithm of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah started. This is how we combat it. I can't tell y'all enough how we should support one another, y'all, especially us African Americans. We always sharing all the other peoples and all the other stuff. But when we have our own, and when we come out on our own students of knowledge and our own imams, we don't heart, we don't share. So, we have, as a matter of fact, we getting ready to start a group, not a group, but a clubhouse where we can really get into the details of a lot of this stuff. A lot of this right here, it takes a lot of time to explain. But when me and the A-team, when we be talking, sometimes we have 3-hour conversations and we go through the universe. I'm talking about, we did from history, and we got 9 brothers that's coming from, man, we probably got about 200 years of experience of Islam in our team of 9 brothers. So we're getting ready to start rooms, inshallah ta'ala, where we can have some exclusive conversations, and we can give the history, the breakdown, the who's, the who not, who ain't, not all of that. And I think our first topic, we talked about this today, is about how the Wahhabis got us thinking that we don't have scholars and that we don't have students of knowledge. We do, and we are, and that's what this is. So like and support. If you want that message to get out, and you want the Salafi Wahhabi illness to stop growing in your community, or you want to be strong against it, and somebody get to contradicting you or whatever, put my name on it. You ain't got to fight with them. Go and get this video and copy and paste it and say, watch this video and let me deal with them. This is what I do. Let me deal. Send them my way and I deal with them. Inshallah ta'ala. So like this, share this, inshallah ta'ala. Let's get the word out. We have to spread this knowledge, inshallah ta'ala. We have to stop the growing of the Wahhabi religion. And it's killing our people. The Wahhabi religion is killing our people. So we have to stop this, inshallah ta'ala. So, and this is all based on text. You know, this ain't just me getting on here ranting and saying what I do or what I don't like. It ain't my issue. This is what the scholars are saying of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's not a big issue for a lot of other people because it's for a lot of other places in the world because their scholars and their students' knowledge already crushed it. So I'm taking from those victories that they already had with the Wahhabis. Of course, you know, the African Americans, we get everything late. We on the late wave of all these things. So, you know, it's growing in our community and it's actually sabotaging the efforts of the righteous. We got brothers who are struggling and striving per the Quran and Sunnah to establish Quran and Sunnah communities in our locales so that we can have a Quran and Sunnah presence in our communities and help our communities this way, inshallah ta'ala, by giving knowledge to our people, opening up centers of knowledge to our people. We can't do that if we have these individuals out here just causing all types of fitna. All types of fitna. They are in the way. And inshallah ta'ala, I am inviting them to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Inshallah ta'ala. I love y'all all for the sake of Allah. Aquli qawla hadha wa astaghfirullah wa la ilaha illallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.